Maybe your legs feel heavier than they used to. Maybe getting out of a chair takes more effort than it did a few years ago. Maybe climbing a flight of stairs leaves you gripping the railing and wondering when, exactly, that got so hard. Please hear me when I say this. You are not lazy. You are not being dramatic. And you are absolutely not imagining it. Something real is happening, and you deserve a real explanation, not just a shrug and a well, you're getting older. Because yes, aging is part of this. But part of getting older does not mean inevitable, unstoppable, or untreatable. And that distinction matters more than most people realize. I want to start by just sitting with this for a moment, because I think it deserves more than a quick mention. Weak legs are not just a physical inconvenience. For a lot of people over 60, they become a source of quiet fear. You start to hesitate before you stand up. You scope out the chairs before you sit down. Is this one going to be easy to get out of? You think twice before walking somewhere unfamiliar, because what if the ground is uneven? What if there are stairs? What if your legs just don't cooperate? That kind of hesitation is exhausting. And over time, it shrinks your world in ways that have nothing to do with what you actually want to do with your life. So this video is not just about nutrition. It is about getting some of that confidence back, about understanding what is happening in your body and doing something useful about it. Why do legs get weaker after 60? Let's talk about what is actually going on, because when you understand the reason, the solution makes a lot more sense. The single biggest factor is something called sarcopenia. That is the medical term for the gradual, age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. It is not a disease in the dramatic sense. It does not announce itself with a diagnosis one morning. It happens slowly, quietly, over years. A little less muscle here, a little less strength there. And one day you notice that standing up from the couch now requires a small personal pep talk. The National Institute on Aging has noted that muscle strength and physical performance tend to decline faster in the later decades of life, particularly after the mid-60s. This is not a flaw in the human design. Exactly. It is more like a maintenance problem. And like most maintenance problems, it responds well to attention. But sarcopenia is not the only player here. Several other things tend to happen around the same time, and they tend to stack on top of each other. Activity levels often drop, sometimes because of pain, sometimes because of busy life seasons, sometimes just because moving feels harder so you do it less, which makes it feel harder still. That cycle is worth recognizing because it moves in both directions. Protein intake also tends to fall. Older adults often eat less overall, and protein in particular tends to get squeezed out. Appetite changes, food preferences shift, cooking for one can feel less motivating. The result is that many older adults are simply not giving their muscles the building material they need. The dietary guidelines for Americans and guidance from major nutrition bodies specifically note that many older adults fall short on protein, and that adequate protein intake is important for preventing muscle loss with aging. Balance also declines with age, partly because of changes in the inner ear, partly because of reduced muscle strength, and partly because the nervous system processes feedback from the body a little more slowly. When balance feels uncertain, people instinctively move less. And again, the less you use your legs, the more the muscles quietly shrink. And then there are other contributors that are worth knowing about. Nerve function changes, joint pain, medication side effects, and circulation issues can all play a role. We will come back to some of those in a moment, because some of them deserve real medical attention. But the core of the story for most people is this: less muscle, less protein, less movement, less balance. And those four things feed each other. That is the cycle we want to interrupt. Enter the humble egg now. Before I tell you what the hero food is, I want to share something I have noticed, and maybe you have too. Look at what a lot of older adults eat for breakfast. Not what they think they should eat, what they actually eat. For a huge number of people, it is something like toast, maybe with a little butter or jam. Coffee, of course, always coffee. Maybe a small glass of juice. Sometimes a bowl of cereal. And I say this with genuine affection because those breakfasts are comforting. They are familiar. They are quick. But they are not exactly a muscle-building strategy. The problem is that a breakfast like that might give you 3 to 6 grams of protein. And your muscles, especially after 60, need considerably more than that to do anything useful. So, if I had to choose one practical, affordable, easy-to-prepare food that could genuinely make a difference for leg strength and muscle maintenance after 60, here is what I would choose. Eggs. I know. Stay with me. Because I can already hear some of you thinking, that's it? Eggs. I have been eating eggs my whole life. And yes, you probably have. But the question is not whether eggs are familiar. The question is whether you are actually using them as a real nutritional tool or whether they are just an occasional thing you have when you feel like it. There is a difference, and that difference can matter more than you might think. Why eggs specifically? Eggs are what nutritionists call a high-quality, complete protein source. That means they contain all of the essential amino acids, the ones your body cannot make on its own and has to get from food. Your muscles need those amino acids to repair themselves, maintain their mass, and respond to physical activity. The official dietary guidelines for Americans list eggs among the protein foods that can support muscle maintenance in older adults. And a small but noteworthy randomized trial in older women found that egg protein supplementation improved both protein intake and upper body strength compared to a control group. Now, that study does not prove that eggs alone fix weak legs. I want to be clear about that. No single study proves that, and no single food should be sold as a magic cure. But it adds to a growing body of evidence that higher quality protein from practical foods like eggs can support muscle function in older adults. Beyond the science, eggs have a few other things going for them that I think deserve mention. They are inexpensive. For most people, they are easy to prepare, scrambled, poached, boiled, however you like them. They are easy to chew, which matters more than people often acknowledge, because dental issues can quietly make high-protein foods less accessible for some older adults. And they are flexible. You can eat them at breakfast, tuck them into a salad at lunch, or add a boiled egg to almost anything. In short, they are accessible in ways that matter in real life, not just on paper. Protein and muscle. The partnership here is something I want to make very clear because I think it often gets lost in health content like this. Eating more protein, including eggs, will not, on its own, give you stronger legs. I am going to say that again because it matters. Protein alone is not enough. Muscle is built and maintained through a partnership between nutrition and physical use. You need both. Protein provides the raw materials. Movement, especially resistance-based movement, tells your body to actually use those materials to build and maintain muscle tissue. This is not my opinion. This is the science. Clinical guidance on sarcopenia strongly recommends both protein-rich nutrition and resistance-based physical activity as the two pillars of treatment. If you eat well, but never challenge your muscles, your body has little reason to invest in them. And if you exercise but eat too little protein, you are working hard without giving your body what it needs to rebuild. In my view, this is where a lot of well-meaning health advice misses the point. It focuses on one side of the partnership and ignores the other. So let's talk about both. Why breakfast is the right place to start. For many older adults, breakfast is the meal where the protein gap is widest. It is also the meal where a relatively small change can make a noticeable difference across the rest of the day. Think about those 2 mornings again. Morning 1, toast, jam, coffee, maybe a splash of juice. Warm, familiar, and honestly, perfectly pleasant. But your body wakes up after 8 hours without food and receives maybe 4 grams of protein. Your muscles shrug. Nothing much happens in terms of repair or maintenance. Morning 2, 2 eggs, maybe with a small bowl of oatmeal on the side, or some Greek yogurt, or even a handful of beans if that sounds good to you. Now your body is receiving somewhere between 20 and 30 grams of protein, depending on what else you include. Your muscles have something to work with. The signal your body gets is completely different. Research reviews suggest that distributing protein more evenly across meals, rather than concentrating it all at dinner, may support muscle mass better in older adults, though the evidence on strength outcomes is still developing. The principle, though, is sound. If you want your muscles to be supported throughout the day, they need building material throughout the day. That does not mean eggs are the only way to get there. If you do not eat eggs, whether by preference, allergy, or cultural habit, there are plenty of other high-quality protein options that work just as well. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, fish, chicken or turkey, milk, tofu or other soy foods, beans and lentils combined with grains. The point is not eggs specifically. The point is choosing something with real, usable protein and making it a consistent part of at least one meal each day. Moving your legs on purpose. Now the other half of the partnership. The physical activity guidelines for Americans recommend that older adults get regular aerobic activity, do muscle strengthening exercises at least 2 days a week, and also do activities that specifically work on balance. The National Institute on Aging similarly highlights resistance and balance training as key tools for preserving physical function and reducing fall risk in older adults. I know that for some people, the phrase muscle strengthening exercise sounds like it means a gym membership and a personal trainer. It does not have to. For many older adults, especially those just starting out, the most useful exercises are simple and can be done at home with no equipment at all. Chair stands, sitting in a sturdy chair and standing up slowly, then sitting back down. Directly work the thigh muscles that matter most for getting up and down throughout your day. Calf raises while holding a counter. Slow, controlled step-ups with support. Gentle resistance band exercises for the legs. Even deliberate, intentional walking, not a stroll, but walking with some purpose and pace, adds up over time. Balance work is equally important and often overlooked. Standing on one foot near a counter for support. Walking heel to toe in a straight line. Tai Chi and gentle yoga have both shown benefits for balance in older adults. These are not dramatic interventions, but done consistently, they genuinely make a difference, both in physical strength and in the quiet confidence that comes from trusting your own body again. And to me, that second part, the confidence, matters more than people often realize. Because when you trust your legs, you use them more. And when you use them more, they stay stronger. That is the positive version of the cycle I described earlier, running in the right direction. When to pay closer attention. And when to see a doctor, I want to spend a moment on something that is easy to skip over, but genuinely important. Not all leg weakness is the same. And not all of it is explained by low protein or reduced activity. Sometimes leg weakness has a medical cause that needs proper evaluation, and waiting too long to address it can make things significantly harder to treat. Here are the signs I would take seriously. If your legs feel weak, heavy, or painful mainly when you are walking, but the feeling eases when you sit down and rest, that pattern is worth flagging with your doctor. It can be a sign of peripheral artery disease, or PAD, which is a narrowing of the arteries that limits blood flow to the legs. The National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute notes that PAD symptoms can include pain, aching, cramping, heaviness, or weakness in the legs during walking or stair climbing, and that severe cases can involve pain even at rest. If you notice one leg feeling significantly weaker than the other, suddenly or over a short period of time, that is worth taking seriously. If you have numbness, tingling, or a persistent cold feeling in one foot or both feet, especially if accompanied by color changes in the skin, pale, bluish, or darkened, those symptoms need medical attention, not a change in breakfast habits. And if you have a wound or sore on your foot or lower leg that is not healing the way it should, that is a red flag. In the context of poor circulation, wounds can become serious very quickly. None of this is meant to alarm you. The vast majority of leg weakness in adults over 60 is not caused by these conditions. But the ones that are, they genuinely need medical care, and no amount of eggs or exercise will substitute for that. So if your weakness is new, rapidly worsening, one-sided, or comes with any of those warning signs, please do not wait. Talk to your doctor. The honest truth about what this takes, I want to close with something that I think is more valuable than any single piece of nutrition advice. Real improvement, the kind that actually changes how your legs feel day to day, that gives you back some of what weakness has taken, does not happen overnight. And it does not come from one food, 1 week of exercise, or one good decision. It comes from the quiet accumulation of better habits, practiced consistently over weeks and months. That might sound discouraging if you were hoping for a faster answer, but I actually think it is hopeful, because it means that every good meal, every chair stand, every short walk, every small effort you make, it all adds up. None of it is wasted. The body responds. At 65, at 70, at 75, the body still responds. Physical activity guidance for older adults is explicit about this. Even when someone cannot meet the full recommended targets right away, doing what they can, starting slowly and building gradually, still produces real benefits. Progress does not have to be perfect to be meaningful. And when older adults commit to improving protein intake, strengthening their legs, and working on balance consistently, they are not just doing exercises. They are rebuilding something, a relationship with their own body, a sense of reliability, a quiet kind of trust. That, to me, is what this is really about. Not eggs, not trends, not a trick you found in a YouTube video, but a decision made with clear eyes and a little bit of courage that says, I am going to take care of my legs, because my legs are how I stay in my own life. The simple version, if you want to take just one thing from everything we talked about today, let it be this. After 60, weak legs most often improve through a combination of better protein intake and consistent movement, not through a single remedy. Practical, affordable foods like eggs can genuinely support muscle maintenance. Strength and balance exercises, even simple ones done at home, matter at least as much. And warning signs like pain with walking, one-sided weakness, numbness, cold feet, color changes, or wounds that will not heal deserve medical evaluation, not a wait-and-see approach. Your legs carry more of your life than you probably stop to think about. They deserve real attention. Starting today, starting small, starting with breakfast if that is where you are, that is enough. That is more than enough. Before I go, I want to leave you with one very simple but very important question. What have you noticed most in your legs lately? More fatigue, less strength, less stability when walking, or that feeling that your legs just do not respond the way they used to? Let me know in the comments. Sometimes simply putting it into words is one of the first ways to realize what your body has been trying to tell you for a while. And if this video helped you, I'd love to invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here, we share clear, human, and evidence-based information to help you take better care of your body, your mobility, and your independence after 60. And before you go, please remember this. This video is for educational purposes only and does not replace medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you have sudden weakness, pain, numbness, major changes in your legs, or symptoms that are getting worse, please speak with your doctor. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. And now I want to recommend the next video because it goes beautifully with what we talked about today. 4 juices that help support your vision and brain after 60. Because stronger legs matter, but so do clear thinking, better vision, and protecting your quality of life as a whole. I'll see you in the next video.